Hey everybody. So I feel like there's certain aspects of an interaction that could be a question to some people, to someone. I'm trying to just be gentle with stuff, and so honestly, this would the best way to do this would be an actual conversation or somebody leaving me questions or something like that, because then I know specifically what areas to address, but perhaps they'll have in the future. But for right now, I'll just speak, kind of just go over things. I feel like I've, I don't know, I feel like I've spent a good amount of time explaining, the situation and why I've done the things that I've done, but I'm just going to go through it again. So, and then maybe through the process of that, new things will come and da da da. And so, anyway, all right, here we go. Essentially, right before I started watching someone's channel, no, right after, I'm sorry, like maybe half a year or so afterwards, I started taking kratom, and as I've said many times, and I'm not the only one. Like after a buddy of mine, the same buddy who passed away from alcohol consumption, after he told me that kratom can make you feel kind of weird, like talking to people sometimes, like you'll be like weirded out. And it's just like it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not one of the substances like coffee for me makes me naturally want to talk more, whereas kratom is almost kind of like the opposite. So, anyways, but I hadn't realized that until but when he told me that, it made sense, because a lot of times when I'd be on the shit, people would be talking to me, I'd be kind of like just like wanting to get away from them, for no real reason. It wasn't anything they had to say. It was just like the whole exchange of conversing, what was just bothersome to. It just wasn't something I was enjoying, like with the kratom and everything inside of me, especially when you take large amounts, which I was. Now I'm not. So things are different now, but for a very long time, I mean, for the majority of the past 5 years, that I've been doing large amounts of kratom every single day. And so not only does it take you away from wanting to speak to people, at least for me, again, everybody's different, but I'm not the only one, because that my buddy who's passed said the same thing. But it also, like an opiate, it takes away, like, because it gives you that feel good feeling. That's a very similar feeling to being in love or being in a relationship or being like close to somebody, like, because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're giving yourself more of that dopamine, that lovey-dovey feeling. That's why I've always been drawn to opiates, because there's so much like love to me. I mean, they come from a beautiful flower. But anyways, it's so because of that, like, I'm giving myself, I'm administering this substance that has a very much a similar effect as being in a relationship. And so, like, even though I didn't want to do it to take place of a relationship, I think subconsciously and just on my chemistry and all that, it started doing that. So I stopped having as much desire, as I would have without, to go in and, like, really, put in the work necessary to have a real good and healthy relationship. And so it just took away that much, to where I just kept on, especially when I could keep on using and using it. It's like, okay, well, fuck, if I got this substance here that does a similar thing, I can just, and then once you start getting into that, then you start feeling bad. And then so then you start using more and more to compensate, instead of doing, much. I don't advocate, but that's what happened with me. Because, like, it's like one sin leads to another sin. Like, there's a lot of truth to that, especially if you don't catch yourself. And if you let that one sin eat you up and beat you up, and you don't do anything to counter it, could be a slippery slope. And I myself was on that slope for a very long time. But the whole time while I was doing it, as I've said, like, I still be, like, dang, thinking about, people, and then, someone, and someone more than other people, and da da da, and all this and that. And it's like, so it's like, it's always been something that it's never left me. It's always been there. Like, it's always been there. But I've just, because I haven't taken care of myself, and because I've continued to abuse substances and choose, like, the comfortable way, the easier way, rather than just, listening to my heart, and then letting my heart lead me, and just doing whatever I can to at least figure out one way or another what's going on with this feeling inside of me. And I used excuses like, oh, well, da da da, I heard she's talking to somebody else, or da da da, like, and it's like, well, even if that's true, dude, like, I could still, check out what the fuck she's been up to, what she's up to, and see if things change, and I never did that. I just decided to stay away because part of me was also, like I still got little jealousy issues, and it's not easy for me to see somebody whom I, feel like there's a potential for this super deep connection, essentially connecting with other people, and then me being in a state where I don't feel strong enough to give or be there in that capacity to give her what, I feel she deserves, and kind of, wants her needs. So those two things, compounded with my present state and having the kratom nearby and all this and that, just kept me in a cycle of like perpetuating my isolation and my drug addiction and, depression, and staying in my own dark fucking pit of hell, and, not choosing to just, be a little bit braver and healthier with my life, and really just, start, living again, and socializing again, and talking to the people that I feel, or at least attempting to reach out to the people that I feel I have the most, desire to talk to, and then because of the way things have gone down the past too, part of me would, like justify me and my means of like, oh, well, you can always, contact me and all this type of shit. And it's like, and it, when you're already doing, like, it's interesting how like one lower vibrational activity can, like, I call them that because I mean anyway, they can support each other. So it's like me doing my drugs, and then it's like, oh, okay, well then, because I'm doing this, I don't feel good, I'm gonna just stay away. And then it's like, oh, then I can also just say this little bit here, and that'll help, support this bad habit, and make me feel better about choosing this way of life, even though it's like I knew, yes, I knew that there's a better way. Obviously, there's a better way to do things. Like, taking the amount I was taking was abusive and had very detrimental effects on my psyche, my spirit, my ability to connect and communicate and speak. And my throat got really fucked up. Like, I'm very grateful that I'm in the state of health that I'm in right now, because I've done a lot of damage to my body, man. I've consumed a lot of toxic stuff, or just, levels of things that it becomes toxic, because these herbs, at the right levels, they're not bad for you at all, really. But when you start taking them at the higher levels, then that gets into damaging the temple and the body, and sin and self-destruction and perpetuation and the spirits and the energy that comes with that. So, but anyways, yeah, maybe I think that's a good little segment to give you guys, just like, there's more I want to speak on it, but I think that's a good part of that aspect. So, all right, y'all take care. Love you guys. Bye.